This portion of the John Fredericks Show is brought to you by Hargrave Military Academy. Attend an educational and informative open house event at Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia. For more information, visit online at hargrave.edu. Hargrave Military Academy. Build his future. And then a Sweet Virginia Breeze by Robin Thompson. So there's some songs out.
That's right. We got to get one of those tomorrow. I'm gonna send you an email. Ken, you got to come up with one that we can play tomorrow because we're happy to be back here in Tidewater by the beach. And today's show coming to you from the Providence Computer Radio Broadcast Studios in Hampton Roads. For all your computer needs, go to providencecomputer.com. That's providencecomputers.com. And our segment today brought to you by American College for Commerce and Technology, ACCT. You got to check these guys out. Let me tell you why. If you're underemployed or you don't have a job or you think you can get a better job, you got to check ACCT out, American College for Commerce and Technology. All their programs are online. They've got the hottest things out there. Plus, they have the best job placement available anywhere. Online degree programs in accounting, business administration, computer information systems, dental assistant, paralegal, all right at American College for Commerce and Technology. And get this, all military workforce credits are accepted. Financial aid is available. This is the way to go. Veterans, welcome. Okay? Just say you heard it on the John Fredericks Show. You want to go to their website, go to our website. I'll make it easy, thejohnfredericksshow.com. Their ad is right there. Click on it or just call 703-942-6200, 703-942-6200. Say you heard it right here on your favorite show, The John Fredericks Show. And if you're a fan of our show, and obviously if you got us tuned in right now, you think we're doing pretty well, here's two things you can do to help us out. One, give me feedback, right? You want to talk about something we're not talking about it. If you think I'm going off the rails, whatever. Obviously, my station does because they have to run that crazy disclaimer before I come off the air because, it's tough these days to tell the truth. But you can send me a text, 757-692-1710, 757-692-1710. Tell me what you want. Or go to our Facebook page or just give me a call right here at the studio, 454-1650, 454-1650, all right here. The other thing that you can do is be sure, if you have a need of any of the services or products of our advertisers here on the John Fredericks Show, be sure and give them a shout out, give them a look-see, and say, you heard it on the John Fredericks Show. Might not need their product now or their service, but if you think you might want to check it out, check those out before anyone else, because my advertisers support our show because they believe in you, our listeners, and like me, they're beacons of the truth. So you want to do that. Now, speaking of the truth, this Terry McAuliffe thing with Green Tech, it just will not go away. Now, I've criticized the Republicans for maybe making too much hay of it when I think the Cuccinelli campaign at times ought to be talking about substantive issues that involves their candidate. But the Virginia GOP, which is basically running this creepy Terry campaign, continues, and it just isn't going to go away. And I'm telling you now, it's starting to reach critical mass as it revolves around the Virginia Democratic gubernatorial nominee's failed Mississippi car companies, Green Tech, that, as we know, makes no cars and has created no meaningful jobs in Mississippi that anybody can find. I guess maybe the guy that's cutting the grass in front of the empty warehouse, the infamous Green Tech. This thing is just not going to go away. Now, first we have the ongoing federal investigations by the Department of Homeland Security that revolve around the EB-5 visa that Terry McAuliffe had met with people and tried to jawbone them into providing a fast track for the EB-5 visa for one of these Chinese investors to get his $500,000 into his green tech company. We got that investigation going on. Now we've got the Security Exchange Commission, the SEC. They're looking into McAuliffe's green tech because there's been some reports saying that McAuliffe, when he went to various investors, made guarantees and promises that are illegal when you're trying to raise money for a company because you can't guarantee results for anything at all. And so we got that going on. Now we have a new twist, okay? And this reported yesterday from Virginia Watchdog. You can read the article. Just go to watchdog.org, green tech. And this story reported by Watchdog journalist Tori Richards. And basically what they're saying is that Terry McAuliffe and three top green tech advisors to him met with a key White House aide responsible for helping Solyndra, remember them, win federal loans and high-profile support from President Obama. So this green tech thing, why Terry McAuliffe ever got involved in this thing is beyond me, because it's dragging him down. Because at every single week we get some other nuance that comes out where you say, what are you thinking? So now they go to the White House and meet with the people responsible for the $535 million Solyndra loan that came right out of taxpayers' pockets for that failed debacle in California or wherever it was. And so they met with these aides. And for what? This is the same people that were helping this bankrupt solar panel maker Solyndra win federal loans with high-profile Obama backing. And you got to really read this article again. Go to watchdog.org, green tech Solyndra, and you'll find it right there. Now, what the Republicans in Virginia are saying is today around 8 a.m., they're going to send a FOIA request, that's the Freedom of Information Act, to both the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Energy, to asking for any material that provides communication between the White House, green tech, and Mr. McAuliffe. And we're going to see if there's anything else there. But, the thing with green tech now is, again, I'm going to say it, it's reaching critical mass. You can only go so far in explaining this thing. Let me tell you what the real problem is for Terry McAuliffe now with this green tech, beyond the fact that he didn't locate it in Southwest Virginia, that he went to Mississippi, that he cut a deal with Haley Barbour basically to try to create jobs there instead of Virginia. I didn't think that was ever going to be that big of a campaign issue. But the real issue to me now is that Mr. McAuliffe is going around trying to position himself for something he's not. He's saying, look, I'm an entrepreneur, a job creator. Well, sir, you've created no jobs that I can see for green tech. That's number one. Number two, let me tell you what a true entrepreneur does. They don't go around raising money from the government to start a company. They go to investors. They take money out of their bank. They get a second mortgage on their home. Any of you out there that are listening to me today that have started a business, you think of what you went through to try to get that done, whether it succeeded or failed. You borrowed money from your family. You work 7 days a week. You work 15, 16, 17 hours a day. You went without pay. You drained your savings. And then if you were successful, you were the reason your company made it. You created opportunity for people. You created jobs. And you did it yourself. And if you needed investment capital, you went to people. You had a prospectus. You sold them on it. You got them to give you a check. You were the steward of that. You tried to do your best. And you had to fight the government for regulations, green tape, taxes. You fought the government to start your business, to create opportunity and jobs for people that didn't have them. That's what a true entrepreneur does. That's what I do every day, 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. That's what I do. Terry McAuliffe, on the other hand, says he's an entrepreneur, but what does he do? He tries to get money from every government program out there. First, he does EB-5 Visa. Let me get $500,000 from them. Well, that fails to a certain extent. or it's not fast enough for him. Then he goes off to the Obama aide that did Solyndra, trying apparently to get a loan from them, taxpayer dollars. So let's get taxpayer dollars for EB5. Let's get $500,000 there. Then let's get taxpayer dollars for my company through some green tech Solyndra connection, so I can put the taxpayers on the hook for that. Hey, Terry, I got an idea. Okay, you're worth a lot of money. Why don't you go to the bank and write a check and start your company? Why don't you do that? Why don't you take a second mortgage on your home like everybody else did that started a company? Why don't you sit there at your kitchen table trying to figure out how you're going to pay your food bill that first month when you're starting up and you have no income? Why don't you do that instead of leeching off the government for every possible angle that you could possibly come up with in order to try to get your funding from taxpayers, and if you fail, stick it to them. Now, how does that make any sense, and how does that make you an entrepreneur? That's my question. Come on my show and answer that, and I'm good to go. This is the John Fredericks Show, WHKT AM 1650 Hampton Roads, Common Sense News Time, 725. For your comments, we'll be right back. Hi, John Fredericks here. For me, at this stage of my life, it's all about trust. And if I had a death in my family, I'd turn to Woodlawn Funeral Home and Memorial Gardens. But there's no reason to wait. It seems like we spend our entire lives planning for something. We plan for our kids' education, their weddings, and our own retirement. It's just as important to plan for our funeral. Spare your family from difficult decisions at a very emotional time. Pre-plan today in the comfort of your home with Woodlawn. The consultation is free. The discussion is invaluable, and when you decide to purchase, there's flexible terms, easy financing, and no credit checks. Like you, I love my family deeply. That's why I gave my loved ones the gift of pre-planning at Woodlawn. Don't leave your family with questions. Leave them with memories. At Woodlawn, it's all about trust. Call today, 461-4003. That's 461-4003. Give your family the peace of mind they so deserve.
Want to chime in with your comments on The John Fredericks Show? Comment on our Facebook page at facebook.com/The John Fredericks Show and let John know what you think. Now, back to your host, John Fredericks.
Welcome back to the John Fredericks Show, Common Sense for the Commonwealth. The Terry McAuliffe is a creep GOP campaign continues. They're going to be filing all kinds of FOIAs today, trying to find out what exactly is going on with this green tech. Look, I don't like the attention being spent on this because I think the Republicans spend their time doing other things. But now that we got this meeting come up with Solyndra, I mean, this thing is just getting over the top. But we got to get to the bottom of this. Terry McAuliffe has to come clean, just say exactly what he did, and be honest about the fact that in order to start this company, he took every possible opportunity that he had with all of his contacts to leverage the government, the federal government, and state government of Mississippi to get cash to start this company. And rather than do it the old-fashioned way, which is work 15, 16 hours a day and put your own cash in, and don't be telling investors there's guarantees and things like that. That's why this is being investigated. Now, on the flip side, Common Sense News Time 727. On the flip side, here's Cuccinelli's campaign's failure right now, in my judgment. All right, we can talk about green tech, Terry McAuliffe, Homeland Security investigations, SEC, all day to Sunday, right through November 6th, and they're going to lose. Because what they have to do is define a positive vision for Virginia that revolves around economic opportunity, growth, and jobs. That's what they need to do. That's where the Ken Cuccinelli for Governor campaign is not on track right now. You're not going to win this election by simply trying to brand the other guy as a creep. That never works for Republicans. It works for Democrats, but Republicans have to stand for something. And what befuddles me is that I can't think of a politician right now on the state level in 50 states who stands for things more definitively than the Attorney General of Virginia, Ken Cuccinelli. Everybody knows where he stands on everything. and he stands on his principles. You might not agree with them all, but it is what it is, and he is who he is. So why aren't you articulating those, and why isn't your campaign spending their energy in doing that? I get 10 emails a day from the Cuccinelli campaign and the Virginia GOP. 9 of them are attacking McAuliffe. One of them might tell me something positive the Attorney General is going to do for Virginia. Now, one step in that direction is Cuccinelli the other day criticized McDonald's and other state leaders' decision not to have a special session to rewrite Virginia's ethics laws, which I think have to be done right now. I don't think you can wait on that to the next session and have a debate. In the meantime, they're still taking the money. See, that's the problem. They're still taking the money. Right now, there is a crisis in trusting your government that Cuccinelli is absolutely on target when he says that has got to be dealt with right now. This is one of the biggest crises ever. I'm going to say it again. I said it the other day. When I turned my TV on Sunday and I heard Peter King, New York representative, high-ranking Republican official on the House Intelligence Committee, and I heard Saxby Chambliss, a friend of mine, great guy in a lot of ways, ranking minority member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. And they came on TV. These are Republicans now. This crisis in government confidence is nonpartisan. When I see them come on TV and they're telling me about this potential terror attack and this chatter they're getting, and they're going to close these embassies, and by the way, this came from the NSA surveillance, and this is why we need this thing, and here's what's happening. And I'm 55 years old, and I've been following this stuff since I'm 17. And for the first time in my life, I didn't believe them. Now, I'm not saying that they lied. I have no idea. But the problem is I didn't believe them. When you stop believing your government and you stop believing officials in your own party, you got a problem. Now, Obama comes on TV. I don't really believe everything he says either. That's part and parcel. Okay, that's presidential politics. We get that. We had that from Richard Nixon, and it goes on. But when I'm getting my own party representatives, high-ranking officials come on, look at me in the eye on the camera, and I don't really believe them. I'm not saying that they're not telling the truth, but I have doubt in my mind. That's a bigger problem than exactly what's happening out there. And I don't think it's just me. I don't think I'm the only guy out there that is saying to myself, am I getting the truth from my government? Because here's the deal. If Edward Snowden hadn't done what he did, we would have no idea that the NSA right now is logging in every email and every phone call and every financial transaction that we're making. We'd have no idea. So I'm thinking, is this the dog wags the tail? I don't know. That makes me, for the first time in my life, distrusting of my government. I have no idea whether or not to believe what they're saying. I can take that right down to Virginia Beach, which I'm now involved in again because I moved back to the area. And I get the mayor of Virginia Beach telling me about light rail, and I don't believe him either. Not that he's lying. I'm not saying that. I just don't trust anything any government official is saying to me. Now, who do I believe? Well, I believe John Cosgrove. I said that earlier. We need that in government. The first thing we need to do is believe what we're being told on serious matters. That's the crisis. That's why the Virginian representatives of government need to reconsider, have a special section, and fix these Wild West ethics laws that have virtually no restrictions on anybody. I start there, and Cuccinelli nailed it. We got to get our trust back in government. Then then we can start to solve some problems. But when you don't believe what your officials are saying, you got a bigger problem than Obamacare. This is the John Fredericks Show. We're a little behind at 7:33. We're going to go to Virginia News with Kenny Johnson. When we come back, Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling will be joining us. I think he agrees with me on the special session. We'll find out. Don't go away. It's 7:33.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Bob McDonnell is launching an aggressive statewide tour to tout the work of his administration as it heads into its waning months. The 22-stop tour will take him from a fiddler's convention in Galax to a cookout for state employees in Martinsville to a vineyard tour in Machipongo. The tour starts Friday in Salem and ends next Thursday in Leesburg. McDonnell has conducted similar tours to promote government reform and privatizing the state's liquor stores. This year, McDonnell and his cabinet secretaries will highlight accomplishments under the administration, which comes to a close in January, and include a falling unemployment rate, rebounding shellfish industry, transportation breakthroughs, open space conservation achievements, increased agricultural exports, and educational innovations to benefit Virginia students, teachers, and parents. Governor McDonnell has refinanced his private residence and restructured loans on other properties as he repays a businessman and donor who gave gifts to him and his family. Court and government records reveal real estate transactions that could free up cash, while McDonnell and his family returned gifts and loans totaling more than $150,000 to Johnny Williams Sr., the CEO of a nutritional supplement maker. However, the public documents do not indicate if McDonnell has spent any of the money freed up by those transactions, or whether any of it may have been used to repay Williams. McDonnell also is receiving help from supporters who created a nonprofit corporation to accept donations to offset his legal defense fees. The gift-giving scandal has sparked calls to reform Virginia's lax financial disclosure laws and has sparked 2 investigations. The FBI is examining whether Williams' gifts to McDonnell came with strings attached, while a separate investigation is looking into whether McDonnell violated the state's financial disclosure law. Williams is the target of a federal securities investigation and shareholder lawsuits. McDonnell has said Williams' largesse was not repaid with any influence, and he has denied any wrongdoing. McDonnell has said the repayments to Williams are coming from his personal assets. In case you somehow missed it, Republican John Cosgrove was elected Tuesday to the Virginia Senate, replacing retiring Senator Harry Blevins in the 14th District. A member of the House of Delegates for 10 years, Cosgrove of Chesapeake was unopposed in a special election that drew a few voters. Suffolk Democrat Kerry Holmes dropped out of the race on July 19th. Responding to a federal mandate and acting on transportation legislation passed this year by the General Assembly, Virginia will assume more financial responsibility for Amtrak regional service in the state. The agreement had to be in place by October 1st, or the regional rail service would have ceased in the state. The agreement affects intercity passenger rail service between Washington and Lynchburg, Newport News and Norfolk, including Richmond. Eventually, the new partnership with Amtrak will cost the state $40 to $50 million. Virginia is the first of 19 affected states to establish a cost-sharing system with Amtrak in compliance with the Passenger Rail Investment and Improvement Act of 2008. Norfolk police say 43-year-old Ronnie Jacobs was allegedly speeding down Red Brook Road when neighbors confronted him. He left, but soon returned brandishing a gun. The driver struggled with another man, and the gun discharged. The driver, Jacobs, was struck in the leg and was taken to the hospital for treatment. The other man was not injured. Jacobs, who, by the way, lives on that street, is charged with discharging a firearm and brandishing a firearm. As Forrest Gump said, stupid is as stupid does. State and local news brought to you by Hargrave Military Academy. Attend an educational and informative open house event at Hargrave Military Academy, located in Chatham, Virginia. For more information, visit hargrave.edu. Hargrave Military Academy, build his future. 7:38 is the time, and the update on traffic. 264 westbound now much better heading into the downtown tunnel. They cleared off that incident just before City Hall Avenue out of that left lane. So traffic's moving along better, but you'll still find a bit of a backup on the Berkeley Bridge just past City Hall Avenue heading westbound. Eastbound, the backup's just at Effingham Street. 464 northbound is still steady. A little backup on that right lane heading for the Berkeley exit and heading into the downtown tunnel. Midtown Tunnel eastbound backed up to the West Norfolk Bridge. Westbound is heavy but steady. Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel eastbound 64 has a backup once again around Mallory Street. Westbound is steady at the Monterey Merrimack and James River, well, not at the James River Bridge. I take that back. They just stopped traffic at 726 for that 7:30 opening, so traffic stopped north and southbound 17 That'll mean some delays heading northbound, especially northbound 17 for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Over at the Jamestown Scotland Ferry, they have reopened that. They're operating once again, but they're down by one ship as that investigation continues, so there may be delays if you use the Jamestown Scotland Ferry for your commuting. Gilmerton Bridge opening 7:45 and 8:30 this morning on the Eastern Shore. 13 southbound has one lane closed until about 8 o'clock, clearing that tractor-trailer crash. And Route 175 between Royal Farms and the NASA facility will be closed from 7:20. So it's closed right now until about 5 minutes after 8 o'clock as they launch that unmanned aircraft just for safety precautions. Reminder about the downtown tunnel. One westbound lane closed again tonight, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then the entire westbound side of the downtown tunnel closes 8 p.m. tomorrow night through 5 a.m. Monday morning. They'll repeat that every weekend until May. Mostly cloudy today with a high of 86. Isolated evening thunderstorms, partly cloudy overnight tonight, a low of 74. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, scattered showers and thunderstorms, 88. Scattered thunderstorms again on Saturday, 85, then partly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 83 degrees. Keeping you comfortable year-round is the primary, the first destiny of air conditioning specialists. What is that? Prime directive. That's it, the old Star Trek thing. The prime directive for air conditioning specialists is your comfort. So that means they have the best customer service because they want to make sure you're happy and comfortable. Real 24-hour emergency service goes along with that, as well as the expertise for all heating and cooling systems to make sure you've got the best system possible, keeping you comfortable and energy efficient year-round. So if you want comfort year-round and peace of mind knowing you've got the best taking care of you, you need to call 558-9122. 558-9122 for air conditioning specialists.
You're listening to The John Fredericks Show. That, my friend, is a work of art. You ought to expand your business.
Where would I start?
Bayport Credit Union.
The credit union that's been here since my grandpa was a kid?
Same one. Bayport has a complete line of services for small businesses. You get quick loan decisions, and they can offer you flexible terms like they did for me.
Well, then, Bayport's the place to start.
When you're ready to do business, we're ready. Bayport Credit Union. Call 757-928-8850 or click bayportcu.org for products tailored for small businesses. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hi, I'm Kristen Cooper, Admissions Director at Stonebridge School. We are very excited to announce the opening of our new preschool for 3- and 4-year-olds in Chesapeake. For over 30 years, Stonebridge School has been partnering with Christian families to form Christian character in each student grades K through 12. Join us on Tuesday, August 13th, for a tour and preschool open house beginning at 6 p.m. Come visit us and see how each student is known as an individual and valued for his or her unique gifts and talents. Attend our tour and open house on August 13th at 6 p.m. I'd love to meet you and your family. Call 488-2214 or go to stonebridgeschool.com. RSVP for our preschool open house at 488-2214.
You're a veteran, active duty, retired, prior military, and reservist, and it's time for you to start living the good life. You've worked hard. It's time to get rewarded, and you can. With the VA loan program, you've earned the benefits, but how can you take advantage of them? Call Veteran Loan Funding today at 1-800-601-3878. Being veteran-owned, Veteran Loan Funding understands your concerns and is here to answer all your VA loan questions. This is a perfect time to get a VA home loan and take advantage of today's low interest rates, and Veteran Loan Funding is here to help. Get started today by visiting veteranloanfunding.com or call 1-800-601-3878. 1-800-601-3878. Active duty, retired, prior military, and reservists. This is the time to take advantage of the benefits you've earned proudly. Call Veteran Loan Funding today. 1-800-601-3878. 1-800-601-3878 or visit veteranloanfunding.com.
Tidewater Mortgage Services Incorporated is an equal opportunity lender. NMLS number 71158.
Dealing with your pharmacy should be effortless. That's why you need to make Heidenwood Pharmacy your family pharmacy. Locally owned and operated since 1959 in Newport News, you'll get quality, friendly, and efficient service. And if you need it delivered locally, there's only one call to make: Heidenwood Pharmacy, 595-1151. Most insurances are accepted, including Express Scripts, Anthem, Medicare D programs, and TRICARE beneficiaries. Heidenwood Pharmacy is just a phone call away. 595-1151.
Who would believe it? Evidently, lots of folks really do have older dead laptops lying around ready for trash day. Providence Computers is getting excellent results in turning your old laptops into cash. Now we have many of these old laptops completely restored and ready to sell for as low as $125. Cracked screen gone. Broken hinges gone. Dead hard drives gone. These laptops literally sparkle. Call 382-7768 and visit our store at 1421 Kensal Road at Volvo in Chesapeake. For laptops that sparkle, call Providence Computers, 382-7768, providencecomputers.com.
Your comfort, our promise. That's air conditioning specialist commitment to you. Whether it's an install or a service visit, you can be assured that no mess will be left behind. That's because air conditioning specialist hires only the best technicians. Looking for a new system or service on your existing system? Give AC Specialist a call, 757-558-9122. Endless cold showers because there's never enough hot water? Call AC Specialist for a professionally installed tankless water heater. Tired of having no electricity when the power goes out? Keep your family comfortable with a generator installed by Air Conditioning Specialist. AC Specialist always has no interest financing options available. How about $500 off a generator or heating and cooling system? Alan and Chrissy Smith guarantee a job done right. Air Conditioning Specialist. Your comfort, our promise. That's 757-558-9122.
Mitt Romney, who lost the race for the White House 9 months ago, asks Republicans to listen to his advice because we all learn from our mistakes. Releasing the text of a speech he gave to party supporters in New Hampshire, Romney tells the Republican majority in the House to stop threatening a federal government shutdown to cut off money for health reform. Romney says soldiers wouldn't get paid, people would be unhappy, Obamacare would get funding, but Republicans would suffer in the next elections.
Right now is, in my view, our single best opportunity to defeat Obamacare, and it may well be our last opportunity. Obamacare isn't working. The wheels are coming off. As you know, the lead Senate author, Democrat Max Baucus, has described it publicly as a, quote, huge train wreck. The unions are turning on President Obama. I mean, the president of the Teamsters, James Hoffa, said that Obamacare is destroying the 40-hour work week that is the foundation, the backbone of the American middle class.
Hey, it's Thursday, August 8th. Don't even think about touching that dial. Welcome back to the John Fredericks Show. Common sense for the Commonwealth, WHKT, AM 1650 here in Tidewater. I'm your host, John Fredericks. We're the adults in the room. Better put your big boy pants on because we got Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling coming up. He is an honest broker of the truth, and we're going to get his straight talk on what's going on with ethics reform in Virginia, the special session that got kicked to the curb, and also the gubernatorial campaign. We'll also get him to weigh in on the other important things going on. Always great to have him on. Coming to you today from the Providence Computer Radio Broadcast Studios in Hampton Roads for all your computer needs. Got one place to go, ProvidenceComputers.com. That's ProvidenceComputers.com. This segment of the John Fredericks Show brought to you by the Virginia chapter of Americans for Prosperity. They got a big rally on Monday, August 19th. Don't want to miss that in Richmond. And you can check that out. Just go to Facebook.com/fightback. And you can get all the info there. The Virginia chapter of AFP, Americans for Prosperity, a proud sponsor right here of the John Fredericks Show. Common Sense News Time coming up on 7:46. And joining us now is Virginia's Republican Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling. Mr. Lieutenant Governor, it's always a pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Hey, John, good morning. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Now, I want to get right to ethics reform. Your group, Mainstream Project, came out with your view on some of the limitations that, in your view, Virginia needs to do in order to get, I guess what we could say, more trust and honesty in government. You know, I was saying earlier, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, I think the biggest problem right now is that people just don't believe their government officials many times. And I think some of these ethics laws that we have in Virginia, which are so loose, might be at the root of that, right?
Well, you hit it. I think it's all about just restoring the confidence of the people of Virginia in their state government and in their elected officials. And look, our purpose in laying this series of reforms, and they're pretty broad and pretty sweeping, but our purpose of laying them on the table wasn't to be critical of anybody. It's just to say that, over the past few months, through a series of unfortunate events, we've learned that we've got some real weaknesses in our disclosure laws and in our gift laws. And I think it's important that we, now that we have seen that vividly portrayed before us, that we do some substantive things to deal with that. And so we had planned on rolling out a series of policy initiatives in the fall through the Virginia Mainstream Project. Frankly, we had not planned on starting with ethics reform, but given everything that's been going on, we thought it was just a logical place to start. So what we rolled out on Tuesday was a series of proposed changes that would toughen up our gift laws, limit the amount of gifts that elected officials could receive, toughen up our disclosure laws, not just for gifts, but for other types of financial information, investments and loans and business relationships that individuals have. Also establish a statewide ethics review commission to review ethics complaints and give elected officials and the public advice on ethics-related issues, and then just do a bunch of other stuff. I think there all total were about a dozen different proposals that we made, and I've challenged the candidates for statewide office in the House of Delegates this year to embrace this type of substantive reform of our ethics laws, and it's my hope that when the General Assembly comes back in January, they'll deal with this issue in a substantive way. It's not going to be good enough to just nibble around the edges. I think we need to deal with it in a substantive way, and we've put out some proposals that could provide a foundation for that discussion.
Yeah, I've certainly looked through what you put out. I think it's got some real teeth in it. It's a great start. And, you've got to ask yourself, when you look at this Governor McDonald situation and the fact that he now gave everything back, it still begs the question, what was the environment created that allowed you to make the decision to accept it in the first place? I don't think that's been answered. And I believe that the proposals that your group, Mainstream Project, has put on the table would answer that, right?
Well, it all starts with just making good decisions. And the governor is a dear friend of mine, and I think he's been an outstanding governor for
Absolutely.
Virginia. But I think there were some mistakes made. And, I think they made some mistakes in the types of gifts they accepted and the loans and the amounts of the gifts, and the governor's acknowledged that, and he's taken action to repay the loans and return the gifts, and I think that's a positive thing. But it just all starts with being conscious of this stuff and making good decisions. But some of it does have to do with, I think, some of the vagueness and the ambiguities in our law. And our system has always been, for example, centered around this belief of full disclosure, that you can receive any gift, but it has to be fully disclosed. But I don't think anyone contemplated, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars worth of gifts. And we've now found that full disclosure doesn't necessarily mean full disclosure, because gifts to spouses and dependent children don't have to be disclosed, and certain loans don't have to be disclosed. So, there's just, I think, some vagueness and ambiguity in our ethics laws. Other states around the country, in many ways, have tougher, tighter ethics laws and laws designed to prevent these types of conflicts from occurring. So some of it is just, good decisions on the part of an elected official. But I think another big piece of it is toughening up, tightening up, strengthening these laws to try to limit the amount of gifts, the type of gifts, and require more disclosure from elected officials on not just gifts, but on other things that could create the potential for conflicts of interest in public service.
No question. Common Sense News Time, 7:52. This is the John Fredericks Show. We're with Virginia's Republican Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling. Mr. Lieutenant Governor, the gubernatorial campaign, I want to change to that right now. I've been very critical of both campaigns because they've been unbelievably negative. I'm trying to find some positive answers for Virginia's problems. Why is this campaign so negative, and why can't we get a positive view from these two candidates on, if they're elected governor, what exactly they're going to do in order to improve the life of Virginians?
Well, John, if there's one word that I would use to describe this campaign so far, it would just be the word disgusting. I mean, there really isn't anything positive that has come out of this campaign. It has rapidly become a race to the bottom where each candidate is trying to define their opponent in terms of the least common denominator as opposed to trying to define themselves in terms of the highest common denominator. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one is neither one of these candidates has a positive record to run on. Mr. Cuccinelli knew early on that he was going to be attacked for being too ideological, too extreme, too focused on controversial and divisive issues. So, he decided, he's got to then launch a series of counterattacks against Mr. McAuliffe. And then when he does that, McAuliffe and the Democratic folks launch a series of counterattacks against Cuccinelli. So a lot of it just starts with the fact that neither one of these candidates really have a positive record, nor have they laid out a detailed positive vision for the future of the state. The other side of it, though, I think, is that the corruption of the political process, in my judgment, and this is 22 years of experience in this business speaking, are these political consultants. Because the political consultants believe that the only way to win an election is to tear the other guy down as opposed to lifting your guy up.
Right.
And, so I think it's a combination of these things that's created this rapid race to the bottom. It is turning off everybody in the state except for the most rabid partisans within each political party. Outside of the base of the Republican Party and the base of the Democratic Party, there is no encouragement or enthusiasm for either one of these candidates. I think we're on a trajectory that could result in possibly the lowest voter turnout in the history of the state. So, this is not where we need to be. And, my hope is that instead of seeing this campaign continue to go in this downward spiral, that at some point one of these two guys is going to stand up and say, okay, enough of this is enough. Let's try to elevate this discussion, offer a positive vision for the future of the state, talk about your attributes as opposed to the other guy's weakness, because what they're doing right now, it's not good for Virginia and it's not good for the political process.
No, I don't think it is either, and I've been saying this for some time, and I was surprised, for instance, I think the best way to maybe get this done is through debates. And one of the debates that the Attorney General turned down, he turned down because it was being put on by the League of Women Voters. Now, look, I've moderated 30 debates in my lifetime run by the League. It doesn't matter that you might think that somebody on there is liberal or whatever. I mean, if you have equal time, you got equal time. And so if you don't like the questions, you've got enough time to figure it out. I just don't think not doing debates because you don't like the moderator where it could be on TV and you could put your positive vision out, I think that's a mistake. What do you think?
Well, it depends on the quality of the debate. I mean, if you look at the one debate that these candidates have had so far, I don't know that there was anything meaningful that came out of that debate. I mean, the entire campaign has basically become, well, Ken Cuccinelli is a right-wing extremist, and you ought to be fearful of what he would do to Virginia's governor. And then on the other hand, it's, well, Terry McAuliffe's a Washington insider with corrupt business dealings, and you ought to be fearful of what he would do for Virginia. I mean, there's just nothing uplifting about what's going on right now. So whether you have one debate or 10 debates, it doesn't really matter if all you're going to do in those debates is what happened in the first debate, which is just each candidate kind of, again, trying to define their opponent in the least common denominator.